Hey everybody, welcome to Cousin Jack Carves. Today we're going to be working on this snowman project. This is from a Mike Shipley pattern. And we're going to carve this with a single knife. This simple flex cut KN13 detail knife. Nothing else. So subscribe, ring the bell, get notifications, and let's get rolling. Okay, so let's get started. Today we have a block of wood that's 2 inch by 2 inch and 4. All right, 2 by 2 by 4. And this is some nice basswood from Heineke up in Wisconsin. They do a great job of, I guess, preparing this stuff. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just draw an X, and that'll help us know where the center is on this piece of wood. So we'll go from corner to corner, and same thing this way. We can do this on the bottom as well. And again, basically helps us to know where the center is, helps us with symmetry, although with this particular project, symmetry doesn't really matter a whole lot. That's one of the great things about it, is this snowman has an irregular shape, and he's proud of it. So it's going to be okay. We're going to relax, folks. We're going to have some fun. I saw a post from a relatively new carver who said that they were feeling anxiety when they started on a project. And I thought to myself, that's about the opposite of what you really want. Right? The reason that we do this is to forget about everything else and to relax and enjoy it. So now that I have that X, what that really does, it tells me, well, here's that halfway point across here on the side. You can see I'm just going to mark each one of these sides. And I'll go around the bottom and do the same thing. Just close enough, right? It doesn't have to be perfect or exact. Again, we're dealing with a project that has plenty of margin for error. It can be irregular, it can be a little bit off center, and some of it really is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, we're just going to make that center line. It's going to go down to where we have our mark here and here. I'm going to set my finger on the side of the wood, drag it down, and we'll just do that on each side. Again, if it's not straight, if it's not exact, roll with it. You'll be okay. And while we're doing this, let me give you the backstory on this particular project. So, a few weeks ago, my wife found a book that we had given to my dad for a gift, and it's a Mike Shipley book. It was published 20 years ago, and this snowman was in that book, along with a lot of other projects, mainly snowmen, Santas, Christmassy things. So I saw it and I thought, wow, that looks like a fun project. I'll give that a shot. And I really enjoyed it. This is the first one I made. Snowman number 1. You can see that shape. He's got that curved little bit of junk in his trunk back here. It slopes up to the top. See that bottom of the head slopes right to the top. Top is narrower. And the widest part of this whole snowman isn't at the very bottom. It's right around here, right up here. Same in the back, right? Got that booty sticking out. So we're going to go for that shape. All right, so we've got our lines marked on each side. Next thing we want to do is come down on the front about 1.5 inches. And that'll be where that nose will reside. Okay, so we're just going to make a mark right there. And then we'll come down about 1 inch for that hat brim in the front. So what I want you to do is take that nose and just draw a circle around it, or an oval. You know, it doesn't have to be a circle. Just make sure you leave yourself some material, because we're going to need that to make that carrot nose. We know that the brim of the hat is going to be right around up here, at least in the front. It'll be a little bit different in the back. So now that we know where that nose is and where that brim of the hat will be, one of the things that we're going to do, and you can see just how much material there is right here. One of the first things we're going to do is bring down a lot of this material along the back side here. For example, you can see this snowman and how much came off of the back. Now, generally in the book, you know, it says use your bandsaw, cut it out, save yourself some time. But you may not have a bandsaw, and this is sort of a beginner project. So I wanted to help folks understand and to know that you can do this with a knife, and you can do it with a single knife. So today I decided to use this flex cut. It's the KN13 detail knife. Now, this other one that I showed you, this snowman, was carved with Helvey knives. I love those knives. They're great knives, but you may not have one. Odds are, if you're starting out, you have something like this flex cut right here, and that's why I chose this knife today. So I'll also be using some gloves. I wear this wizard glove on my non-dominant hand, and I'll also wear a glove on the other hand just because. And this is a Dex Fit. It's cut resistant, level 5. Pretty good knife, or a pretty good glove, and it gives you some grip. The wizard glove can be a little slick sometimes, but it does give you a lot of protection. So let's get carving here. First thing we'll do is we'll just take where that top of the nose is, and we'll just rock the knife a little bit to get a stop cut going there. We'll do the same thing where we know that hat brim will be. Rock that knife a little bit, again, to get a stop cut. We'll go from this stop cut up to the brim. Then we'll come below that nose at the bottom of our pencil mark. Again, rock the knife and give us a reference point there. So, just so we know, where we're going. Now, beyond that, there's a lot of material we have to remove, so let's get going with that. We'll just take some cuts here, take these corners off, is always a good start. Makes it easier for you to hold it. You don't have these sharp corners digging into your hands. That's no fun. You see this cut right here? This is sort of a paring cut, just to show it to you. It's a relatively safe cut because this is not using your arm, you're using your fingers. This is not even your wrist, okay? Just the fingers. And to make it even more safe, keep that thumb down below where the knife will be going, okay? Pretty easy cut, one you'll use a lot. Yeah, I like to get these corners off to make it a lot easier to handle. And you know what? These need to come off anyway, right? We're taking this square block of wood and we're going to make it rounded. Now on this side I want to be careful. I know I need to leave some room for the brim of the hat. I'll just take a little slice up here. And now the bulk of this material has to come off of this back side. This is going to slope forward quite a bit. Remember, this is that look we're going for. You can see how far it is from the back of that booty all the way up to that head and how much that tapers. And then again, it tapers at the bottom. Okay? So we'll just start removing a lot of this material. Now, like I said, if you want to, maybe you can get that book. It's, like I say, published 20 years ago by Mike Shipley. There's a pattern in there. You could get the pattern out and use your bandsaw, right? And cut this thing out and save yourself some time. Or, maybe you're a carver who has a number of other tools. You may have some large gouges that you would use to take off a lot of material. Or at the very basic level, you would probably use a rough out knife. I'm not doing that today because I want all the folks out there who are learning to know and understand that you can do it with a single knife. So yeah, it's going to take me a little bit longer than it would normally take. I'm okay with that. You can see already we're up to that halfway point across, and we'll keep going. We want to go around here too, right? Remove those bandsaw marks and take away the flat surface. We're looking for a snowman here, and they don't really look like SpongeBob. They're more rounded. Okay, we'll just work on this. So one of the fun things about this project is that each one of these snowmen kind of takes on its own personality, and you can really have some fun making each one unique. They're relatively easy to carve, and then also easy to make little changes that are going to customize them, all right? So we're working on this slope of the back of the head. You can see if we reference the top right now, you can see I've taken more material off on this side than I have on that side. That's what that X is good for, right? It helps us to see that frame of reference. Like we said, it doesn't have to be symmetrical, and it won't be when we're done. But it's good to know where we are with the material, where we've taken off more, where we've taken off less. So those pencil marks can really help. Yeah. So we're getting a nice contour there. Let's go ahead and move down to the bottom side. We'll take away some of that material. Just rounding this. Same deal, right? We want to get the bandsaw marks off. We want the square to become rounded. You know, one of the things that a beginning carver often does in terms of a mistake is try to get to the detail on a piece way too early. And, you know, an experienced carver will tell you that the shaping and the roughing out of the piece is really important. It's important to get that done before you start getting carried away with trying to add detail. It'll save yourself a lot of headaches in the end. So I encourage everyone to get the shape first. Take the time and try to refrain from digging in and trying to get the details early on. One of the other things that I think a beginner might struggle with is making cuts deep enough into the material. Let me just show you for a second what I'm talking about, okay? Here's an example. Take off the gloves for a second here. You can see on this particular snowman just how shallow some of these cuts are. They're very shallow. And there's just not a lot of contour. There's not a lot of real defined lines. And this is one, this is the first snowman I ever made. This is the second one. So you learn and you grow. But yeah, these shallow cuts, that's definitely a sign of where I was at the time in my carving journey. So kind of gives you an example where, you know, where you might be and where you can go. Now, I was very happy with that original snowman. I liked it a lot. I still do. But I like the new one probably better. All right, back to getting off the bandsaw marks. And again, we're on the back side right now. So this flex cut knife, I mentioned to you why I'm using it. It's not my favorite knife. And it's not a fantastic knife. It's a good knife. And I think it is a good knife for people who are getting started. You can get one for about 20 bucks. You don't have to make a large investment. They're readily available. And they do a good job. They are generally sharp when you get them. And they have, you know, pretty good steel. They hold an edge well. And no, I don't have any deal with Flex Cut or anybody. All right, so I'm over on the front side now. Here's our nose, just trying to get rid of these bandsaw marks. And again, trying to round the square. Taking off the pencil line, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Remember, we're relaxing, we're having some fun. Now, this is a whole lot more fun when you have a knife that's sharp. If you're struggling, you know, well, it could be a number of things, right? You could have a piece of wood that's maybe not the best, might be too hard, might be old, might be dried out. There's some things you can do for that, but generally speaking, it's a lot more fun when you have a good piece of basswood and tools that are sharp. It's safer too, by the way. Okay, continuing up here, see those flat surfaces, right? So you see the facets here are pretty large. I kind of like that look. It's sort of what I'm going for. You may want something different, and that's fine. You know, you can make smaller cuts, smaller facets, and heaven forbid, you could even sand your wood at the end if you wanted to. It's okay. It's whatever you want to do. It's not cheating. And that's really the message, everybody, is make it yours and then love it, right? Enjoy it, share it, and then make another one. All right. So I'm continuing now to get the square parts off and all the flat surface. We've got a lot of material to work with here. Because I do have a bandsaw, by the way, and I could have cut this out on the bandsaw, but that wasn't the purpose of helping folks who don't have one. Okay. So it looks like we only have two flat surfaces here on the front right now. Everything else has been rounded, except for right there. So what we're going to do is continue to take material off the back end before we even start to take our pencil mark for the hat brim to the back of the hat, because right now we've got some work to do to get there. And you can see I carved off most of those pencil marks. You can always go back in and redraw them. You have those reference spots on the bottom. Yeah, on the bottom. But even on the top, you can figure out where they were because you have that center. You know that the halfway point was here, for example. All right? Don't worry about it. It's a snowman. It does not have to be symmetrical. It can be if you want it to be, but what I'm saying is it doesn't really need that. Okay, so we have a little bit of a hump here, and we really want that to be a little bit lower. So we're going to continue, like I say, removing this material off the back. Now you could, if you wanted to, switch it up. If you wanted to have less material to remove, for example, you could start with a block that's, say, 1.5 by 1.5 by 3. It would give you the same relative dimension as far as the height to the width, right? Or whatever you have on hand. Basically, just know that the height is twice as much as the side dimension. So for this one, it was right 2 inches by 4 inches. You can see a little bit of a, looks like a sap line running through the wood right here. That may be a little knot. We'll see. Most often, this wood from Heineke is pretty clear. You can see I've already kind of removed most of that. Remember to keep that thumb out of the way. Even if you wear a carving glove, you can still hurt yourself, unfortunately. So what I said earlier about sharp tool being safer for you is that when you have a tool that's dull, you'll tend to have to use more force, right? You'll have to push harder. And what can happen, and what happened to me, is that sometimes the wood will break and then the knife goes right into your hand. So having a sharp tool often allows you to control the knife much more easily. And a lot of what this is about is learning how to control your blade, understanding the wood and the grain and how that tends to move and change in a piece of wood. So I'm pretty happy with the way that's looking there. I'm going to continue to take some of this off in this area because I want that hump to be right about here. See the comparison? The widest spot is down here. So yeah, we'll take some more of this off. And in the process of doing that, you can see we're continuing to taper that area that leads up to the back of the head. Yeah, that's starting to look better. Doesn't have that pronounced bump up here anymore. It's getting lower. It'll continue to get lower. Okay, so I think we're at a good spot. I'm going to stop right here and strop my knife and just encourage you to hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notifications. I'm going to continue this project and keep working this thing down. It won't take too long, but I want to also let you know we're going to do a giveaway for subscribers. So if you subscribe to this channel, I'm going to be giving away Snowman #1 right here. You can see I've got my monogram on there. He was carved in November, and it's SNM as in Snowman 001. You could have Snowman #1 free of charge. I'll pay the shipping. I'm going to do a random drawing among subscribers, so please subscribe, tell your friends, share with them, and we'll be back to continue working on Snowman #4, and we'll see you next time.